Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Pesachim Perek Chet Mishnah Bet. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to discuss a slave who slaughtered on behalf of his master. Right. So let's see the exact case. Homer la'avdo. Right. The master tells the slave, go ahead and slaughter for me the Korban Pesach. Right. Now we know the Korban Pesach can be brought mina kevasim or mina izim. It can be brought from sheep or from goats. Right. It has to be zachar ben shana. Right, but it can be from sheep or goats. And what do you do? Shahat kidi, right? If the slave went and he went ahead and he slaughtered a goat, yochal. That's what the master eats. Shahat taleh, he slaughtered a sheep, yochal. Also, the master eats from that. Shahat gedi vetaleh. Let's say he slaughtered both. And the master should eat from whatever he slaughtered first. Shachach ma'amar lo rabbo. He forgot what his master told him. What should he do? He doesn't remember. Did he tell me to slaughter bring a goat for the Korban Pesach or a sheep for the Korban Pesach? So what does he do? You should slaughter them both. And say, condition. Im gedi amar li rabbi gedi shelo vetale sheli. Right? If he intended to have a goat, if he wanted he said he wanted to have a goat, so then the goat's can be his and the sheep will be mine. And vice versa. If the master wanted a sheep, then the sheep would belong to him and the goat would be for me. Right, so interesting case. Rambam over here just points out that in general, the slave is really a hand, an extension of the master. He doesn't have his own jurisdiction. So how could he go ahead and do this and say, whatever the master didn't want, I'm going to have on my own? Right? Even stuff that he owns belongs to his master. Right, so Rambam says this must be a case where it's speaking about where the master actually gave a shepherd, his own shepherd, right? The master's shepherd who's watching over the flock of the flock, his sheep. He told the shepherd, take this goat and the sheep and go slaughter. The shepherd told the slave, here's the goat and the sheep, and go slaughter both of them in order, for the master to choose from. So in that case, he really gave he gave that ownership to the slave with this condition. That's how this case would play out, right? But without that condition, we know mashkana ayvid kana rabbo. Whatever owned by the slave is owned by the master himself. Okay, shahach rabbo ma'amarlo. Let's say the master forgot what he said, what he told him. Both of them go out to be burnt, right? You can't eat either one. Right? But at the same time, they're patur from doing Pesach Sheni. Why? Because there must be a case when we're talking about that after we sprinkle the blood, right? So after we fulfill the obligation of Korban Pesach, at that point, he forgot what it was, which one he said to do. So you can't eat on both of them, right? Because we have a general principle rule that I should mention in the beginning of the Mishnah, and that is you're not allowed to go ahead and be nimna on two Pesachim. You can't, right, be accounted for in two different groups, two different Korban Pesach. So being that you can't do so, you can't eat from either one, right? So they both go to Bet Sirfa, but he's paturum being to a Pesach Sheni because he's for sure counted, right? He for sure performed it. He for sure slaughtered and sprinkled the blood of the Korban Pesach, so he was yotzeh, right? But he still can't eat it, right? Because he's not allowed to eat. A person can't be in two different groups for the Korban Pesach. I would just point out one more thing, and that is in the beginning of the Mishnah when we told the master, when the master said, slaughter for me a goat, and he slaughtered a sheep, or vice versa, right? He's allowed to eat from it, right? We said, slaughter for me whichever one. He said, slaughter for me a sheep or a goat, right? Or better yet, in a more vague term, slaughter for me the Pesach, and he went ahead and only slaughtered a sheep, right? Or he slaughtered the goat. It doesn't matter what the master usually did. It doesn't matter what his minhag was beforehand. Right? Because he was vague and he told his slave to go ahead and do so. Whatever the slave did, that's what carries out and goes forth. And then when we said in the case where we said he slaughtered both, we said he eats from the first one that he did. That's specific to a case of a king and a queen where they're not so makpid, right? They're not so careful of the mitzvot, and because they're kalut da'at, right? And they're not careful enough In mitzvot, we say they're allowed to go ahead and eat from the first one, but a regular person, anyone else, shouldn't eat from either one. They shouldn't eat from the first or from the second.